How have we been duped into that? Spending all of our time and effort away from the people we love to accumulate stuff we don't care about, so that for 10 or 15 years, we can spend a little bit of time with the people we love when we're too aged to do anything fun. Our mind has abandoned us and, we can't actually do anything. Money and fame and materialistic means mean nothing, right? At the end of the day, they don't go with you. They dissolve into dust. Mm-hmm. I don't know if God made us live in a entropic universe just to stick it to us, because he's like, I know they're going to love all these materialistic means. I'm going to put them in a universe where they naturally dissolve into nothing. So when they get so much of it, they spend all their time fighting entropy, and it just consumes their life, and they end up hating material things in the end. I think this whole trend towards living a simpler life, the minimalistic, the mini homes and all that stuff, is these people who just are like, yeah, I feel like I need to shed this weight. We've been conned into spending 60, 70, 80 years of our life trying to accumulate material goods to live 15 years where we're not so worried about the materialistic means. It's like, God, that's a brutal cycle. Somebody said that to me the other day, and I was like, that is really profound. How have we been duped into that? Spending all of our time and effort away from the people we love to accumulate stuff we don't care about, so that for 10 or 15 years, we can spend a little bit of time with the people we love when we're too aged to do anything fun. Our mind has abandoned us, and, we can't actually do anything. It's like, who came up with that idea? Where did that come from? That sent me down a rabbit hole. I'm like, yeah, who created the 40-hour work week? And what are we doing? Why are we income tax and everything else that we're doing? This giant money producing machine of $20 trillion of GDP annually coming out of the country, that's all just materialistic consumption. I'm like, yeah, I could definitely do without that. Am I alone in like wanting 10,000 acres where I can hunt and gather and not have to worry about, materialistic means, and live a simpler life, and like get outdoors and swim in a pond with my kids and cut the grass and, or is that innate in a lot of people?
I find that, my friend circle, guys like you and I, that's, probably a thought that all of us have had.
Yeah.
But I get a little bit out of touch with what normal people do.
Yeah, sure.
Does that make sense? So
yeah, because you're not working a 9 to 5.
What things cost, for example,
Same.
or what normal people do on a daily basis. I'm like, yeah. I kind of lose sight of like I go work for 40 years. I clock in 9 to 5 every day. I have there's like this vicious daily cycle. Talk about linear. Like, I think the way that the world thinks about our lives is linear. We're born, and then there's this progression, then you die.
Yeah.
And then who knows what happens is sort of the consensus around a lot of people. But like, it's not linear when you think about what a 24-hour span of time looks like, to where it's like, I wake up, I do the same thing every day. I come home, I'm drained of my energy. I'm pissed off because I don't like my boss or what I do. That I pour that into my family. It actually degrades the relationship I have with my wife and kids, which is quite counter to what I wish I was doing.
Yeah.
And then I wake up early and I do it all over again. And I do that for long, extended periods of time.
That's cyclical.
I mean, somebody is listening to this is resonating with very well, which is one of my best friends and production manager here. And it's just, it's insane. But sometimes I'm like, is that just easy for me to understand because I'm not in that? Or
I have always been curious, because I refer to it as being unplugged from the matrix.
Yeah.
Where it's like, when you're in the matrix, it seems real.
Yeah.
But when you get outside of it, you're like, no, the matrix is not real.
Yeah.
You don't have to play that game.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to play that game, but I had something innate inside of me that wasn't willing to play that game.
Mm-hmm.
Like I worked a corporate job for a few years, and I was always a top producer. But what bothered me the most was like, they would put these, what I want to call them, useless criteria in place that I had to meet. right? So like I worked for the University of Phoenix doing enrollments online for school. And like I was great because I was a good communicator. And I thought, you know, that knowledge was important. I've always been a lifelong learner, but like I would get people to come to the school and sign up, but then they wanted me to make 120 outbound calls, even though I was the top producer on my team. And they wanted me on the phone for 4.5 hours a day, even if I had gotten all of the people registered in 45 minutes because I was super efficient.
Yeah.
They're like, no, you need to be on there for another 3 hours and 15 minutes. I'm like, well, you want me to just call like a blank number and just let it sit for 3 hours and 15 minutes? Like, that's such a freaking waste. Why not let me just use my creative power to find other ways to get additional enrollments? And like, so I just learned very early on that I was not meant to be in that box.
Yeah.
Same way I ran my investment firm, you know, like people come in and look at us and are like, how did you build what you've built? I'm like, because I'm not classically trained. I didn't have a framework that I had to stay within. And so I just used the creative function of my brain to do what I thought was best. And what we created was something phenomenal. But it's like, yeah, I guess that's rare.